So this week's reading for MCS204 was Into the Meme Pool by James Gleek. I found this reading really interesting actually because my first thought on memes before reading about it and learning in lectures was that they were just these images circulating around the web, that just had a bit of popularity. I had no idea that they could include, fashion, parodies, chainmail, and it was all of this. So I found that really interesting to read about. And the reading talked about how basically ideas have spreading power. The best ideas spread, which obviously memes do. The best ones spread and go the furthest, which was something that linked in to a really interesting comparison the reading had with linking memes to genes. Because obviously genes spread and they replicate, and the best ones sort of try to go the furthest, like survival of the fittest, which is definitely what memes do. The best ones go the furthest, and like survival of the fittest definitely it's definitely apparent within memes. Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting comparison to make. Also, a quote that I really liked, which I thought explained it really well, was that memes propagate themselves in the meme pool by leaping from brain to brain via a process which, in the broad sense, can be called imitation. So I thought this was a good way to sort of describe how infectious they are, and I thought that was I found that really interesting myself. But another little quote that I liked as well was how we are their vehicles and their enablers. For instance, I think the reading used a hula hoop as an example to sort of describe this, but I thought of my own one, which could be, Kate Middleton and her fashion sense and her style, and how she isn't the meme herself, but the replication and, the copiedness of her style all across the globe is the meme. It just kind of shows how widespread it is and shows the extent to what a meme can be. So I thought that was really that was a good example to use, possibly to think about. I also thought how memes is now this form of postmodernism. Like, we're in this different era now. It's definitely progressed from the past. There just seem to be this new upcoming. I don't know whether it be sort of a trend or if it's going to be something that'll last, but I think it'll be really interesting to find out and see what happens, because it's definitely this new and upcoming exciting thing that people are getting on board. And I mean, even marketing campaigners are using memes now to sell products and reach their target audiences, and I think it's definitely going to be something upcoming and something to watch out for. I think there's definitely good and bad aspects to memes. I mean, the good aspects, obviously, it's humor. They're all, well, most of them can be humorous and create this sort of shared identity and this imagined community and this sense of belonging, which everyone enjoys, and it has this enjoyable aspect to it. But I think there's a side you've got to be, the negative side you have to be a bit careful with, is that you don't want to promote the wrong things, because it seems really easy to do. Anyone can make a meme and say whatever, and especially on the internet, it's harder to monitor. So I thought that was an interesting aspect to maybe consider when reading about all this, because obviously you don't want to promote the wrong issues in a humorous way. Sort of, you can, like say it was sexism or violence or racism or anything like that, because if this sort of caught on, and with the easeability of doing it, it could sort of have quite negative effects, and it doesn't want to be seen as the norm. So I think there's definitely aspects to be careful about with how accessible they are, really. It can also, I think, be seen as generalizing society and making people sort of lose their individuality. It's just art or anything just sort of being copied and mass produced now for commercial aspects, rather than people finding new innovative ways of speaking out and everything. But I definitely think if it's used in the right way, I think it's going to be a great sort of form of media that can take over. Like, overall, I found it really eye-opening into looking at how widespread memes can be, and yeah, I thought it was really interesting.